Hi, my name is Everett. Today I am reading Late Lunch with Llamas, number 34, Mary Pope Osborne, Magic Treehouse series. Number 1 New York Times bestselling series. Llama Drama. Jack and Annie begin a new adventure when the Magic Treehouse whisks them to prove their mission. Rescue a baby llama from the secret city on top of a mountain home to the ruler of the ancient Inca Empire. A rickety hanging bridge, venomous snakes, and the Emperor's royal guards stand in their way. Will they find the baby llama, and how hard will it be to get the llama back to its home? Find out in this magic addition to Mary Pope Osborne's number 1 bestselling Magic Treehouse series. So, if you're sitting comfortably, let's begin. Prologue. One summer day in Far Creek, Pennsylvania, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. It was filled with books. A boy named Jack and his sister Annie found the treehouse and soon discovered that it was magic. They could go to any time and place in history just by pointing to a picture in one of the books. While they were gone, no time they'll pass back in Far Creek. Jack and Annie eventually found out that the treehouse belonged to Morgan Le Fay, a magical librarian from the legendary realm of Camelot. Since then, they have traveled on many adventures in the Magic Treehouse and completed many missions for Morgan. On their last adventure, Jack and Annie learned great wisdom from heroes to the past. Morgan now is sending them on 4 more quests. On these journeys, they must save different creatures in the mysterious world of nature. Chapter 1. Not so simple. The late morning air smelled of honeysuckle. Wind chimes jingled in the summer breeze. Jack sat on the front porch. He was reading a book about whales. The screen door opened. "Hey," said Jack's sister Annie. "What? Hey," said Jack. "Guess what? We're going on a picnic to the lake with Mom and Dad," said Annie. "Great, I was starving," said Jack. He didn't look up from the book. "Me too. We're having tomato sandwiches and potato salads," said Annie. "Cool," said Jack. "Yikes, look," said Annie. "A giant bird." "Funny," Jack kept reading. "Seriously, super huge," shouted Annie. Look. Jack was sure that Annie was kidding, but he couldn't help himself. He looked up at the sky. "Whoa," he said. An enormous black and white bird was circling above the house. It had a wingspan of at least 10 feet. "I don't believe it," cried Jack. He jumped up from the chair. "It's a condor." "What's that?" asked Annie. "The world's biggest vulture," said Jack. "Condors survive by eating mostly dead animals. Sometimes they hunt small living ones." "That's so sad," said Annie. "No, it's nature," said Jack. "Condors are amazing, but they don't live in Pennsylvania. How did it get here?" The condor flapped his wings and rose higher into the sky. It curved and glided toward the Frog Creek woods. "It's a sign," said Annie. "Come on," said Jack. He grabbed his backpack. "Mom, Dad, we're going to the woods," said Annie. "We'll be back in time for the picnic," yelled Jack. He and Annie hurried off the porch. They crossed their yard and ran down the sidewalk. "There it is," said Annie, pointing. The condor was soaring above the trees. It vanished behind the treetops. Go, yelled Jack. Jack and Annie ran down the sidewalk and dashed into the Frog Creek woods. Sunlight streamed between the trees. Jack and Annie ran through the shadows and light until they came to the tallest oak. In the branches at the top of the oak was the Magic Treehouse. "Yay," said Annie. "Where's the condor?" said Jack. "Maybe we can see it from up there," said Annie. She and Jack scrambled to the rope ladder and up into the treehouse. A book lay on the floor in a pool of sunlight. Jack picked it up. On the cover was a photo of trees-covered mountains rising above white clouds. "Wow, beautiful," said Annie. She read the title of the book, Travel Guide, The Andes Mountains of Peru. "Andes Mountains," said Jack. "I've always wanted to go there." "Me too," said Annie. "Uncle Josh went there, remember? To Machu Picchu." She opened the cover of the book. A folded piece of parchment paper fell to the floor. Annie picked it up. "A note from Morgan," she said. She unfolded the note and read aloud. "High in Old Mountain is a creature to save. Bring back the small one. Find the secret of brave. When faced with great danger, old legends will help you. Words from your book will give you a clue. Annie looked up. Okay, she said. Ready? Hold on, said Jack. Is that all she wrote? Yep, said Annie. We go to Old Mountain. We save the small one. Old legends will help us. Sort of simple. Not so simple, said Jack. What is the small one? Plus, there are thousands of words in this book. How do we find the right clues? And what the heck is the secret of brave? Annie sighed. Let's answer one question at a time. We can solve that problem until we know what it is. You sound like Mom, said Jack. Okay, ready to go? Ready for anything, said Annie. Jack pointed at the mountains on the cover of the travel guide. I wish we could go to the Andes Mountains of Peru, he said. The wind started to blow. The chair started to spin faster and faster, but everything was still, absolutely still. Chapter 2, Young Mountain. Birdsong filled the mountain forest. The air smelled of cedar, pine, and wood smoke. Oh, wow, said Annie. I love our clothes. She and Jack both wore bright red wool ponchos, bright brown cotton pants and shirts, leather sandals, and green knit caps with ear flaps and purple tassels. Colorful, said Jack, and warm, said Annie. The ponchos were heavy and hung down to their knees. Jack's backpack had turned into a woven cloth bag. It hung by a strap across his chest. Annie and Jack looked out the window. Oh, wow, said Annie. It's really pretty here. The trio had landed in a tall pine tree in a forest of pine, cedar, and trees with hanging pods. Mountains rose up on the horizon. Feathery clouds floated below their peaks. The Andes Mountains, said Jack. He opened the travel guide to the first page. He read aloud. The Andes are the longest mountain range in the world. They run from the top to the tip of South America, a distance of 4,350 miles. High in the Andes of Peru, tourists hike there for cloud forests and mountain meadows. Cloud forests and mountain meadows, repeated Annie. That sounds beautiful. Jack turned the page. He snapped out a photo of men and women dressed in red ponchos and hats. The caption said, wool ponchos have been worn by Native Americans in the Andes for centuries. Many centuries, said Jack. So what century is this? I don't know, but I have a feeling we came to a long time ago, said Annie. Me too, said Jack, but I'm not worried. I'm not sure why I feel that way. Whoa, what's that sound, said Annie. Oh. What sound, said Jack. Music, here, said Annie. Jack listened carefully. Sweet, eerie music floated through the cloud forest. It's a flute, I think, said Jack. Let's check it out, said Annie. Jack put the travel guide back into his bag. He followed Annie down the rope ladder. They stepped them together onto the tangled brush. The cloud forest buzzed with insects sounds. Hummingbirds and butterflies flittered among the red and purple flowers. A pale green frog leaped out over the tree roots. The flute music is coming from over there, said Annie. Following the sound, Jack and Annie walked between the trees, climbing over rocks and roots. They pushed through through towering ferns. Soon they came to a clearing. They saw an elderly couple sitting outside a small hut. We found the music, said Annie. Shh, whispered Jack. Don't let them hear you. The old man was sitting on the grass playing a wooden flute. A woman was lifting potatoes out of a red, hot fire pit. This feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? Whispered Annie. Yeah, breathed Jack. Look, llamas. Oh, wow, whispered Annie. In a small clearing behind the meadow, several llamas were quietly grazing. They had wool white coats, long necks, and camel-like faces. Their curved ears were shaped like bananas. They're so cute, whispered Annie. Jack agreed. The llamas were cute. I love llamas, whispered Annie. Who doesn't, said Jack. No, I really love them, whispered Annie. Why do people keep llamas? Jack wondered out aloud. Look it up, said Annie. Jack pulled out the travel guide of the Andes Mountains and searched in the index for llamas. When he found the right page, he and Annie read silently together. Llamas were the most important animal in the Andes. For centuries, they provided mountain people with wool and carried their things. The Incas once believed llamas were protected by star constellations shaped like a mother llama and her baby. Inca legends say that in earlier times llamas could talk. Cool, talking llamas, said Annie with a laugh. The old woman and man looked up at Jack and Annie. The man put down his flute. He and the woman stood up. Hello, we come in peace, Annie called. Smiling, she headed over to the couple. Oh, brothers, thought Jack, following her. How would they explain who they were? I'm Annie, and this is my brother Jack, said Annie. We stopped to listen to your beautiful music. The couple smiled and nodded. They seemed shy but friendly. We love llamas too, said Annie. Don't we, Jack? Yeah, we like llamas a lot, Jack said. Where do you come from, Jack and Annie? Asked the man. We're visiting Peru from Frog Creek, Pennsylvania, said Annie. The couple looked puzzled. Right now we're just hiking, Jack said quickly. Walking. You came from the valley and climbed up Young Mountain? Asked the man. Jack nodded. Yes, he said. That's what we did. What a long way, the woman said. Her dark eyes were kind. Would you like something to eat? Jack couldn't resist. Yes, thank you, he said. The woman reached in for 2 potatoes wrapped in leaves near a fire pit. These are... Before the woman could finish, cries came from the forest. Grandmother! Grandfather! Someone howled. Topa! The old man said. A small barefoot boy ran into the meadow. He looked much younger than Jack and Annie. As he ran toward his grandparents, he waved his arms. They took her away, he cried. They took Cry away. Who took her? Said the grandmother. 2 men, cried Topa. They had spears and helmets with feathers. Spears, helmets with feathers? We definitely came to a long time ago, Jack thought. We're all guards, the grandfather said. The old woman gasped and shook her head. Oh no, she said. She hugged her grandson. Are you all right? Yes, but they took Cry away, the boy cried again. Near the bridge. What? That's where they stole her from me. Who's Cry? Jack said. Is she your little sister? No, wailed Topi, raising her head. Not my little sister, my baby llama. Chapter 3, The Bridge. They stole your baby llama, Stanny? Yes, cried Topa. She belongs to me. Cry is an orphan, and so is Topa, said the old man. Now Cry is Topa's whole world. He takes great care of her. I tried to fight them off, said Topa, but they laughed at me. They took her across the bridge. It was so foggy I couldn't see them. I heard them laughing. I heard her crying. I heard her little bell ringing. Why did they steal her? Asked Annie. Topa wiped his eyes. One man said, grab her. Her coat shines like silver. There's none like her in the secret city, said Topa. The secret city, said Topa's grandmother with dismay. The secret city, repeated Jack. What's that? It's near the top of Old Mountain, said Topa's grandfather. There's no hope if they take her up there. Topa let out a wail. He buried his head against his grandmother and shook his head. I am so sorry, Topa. I am so sorry, said the old woman, rocking him. The small one, said Annie. Old Mountain, they're both in a rhyme. I know, said Jack. He remembered. High on Old Mountain is a creature to save. Bring back the small one. Find the secret of Brave. That's our mission. We have to save her, said Annie. Overhearing Annie, Topa whirled around. You will help, he said through his tears. You will find Cry and bring her back home? We will try, said Annie. No, you cannot, said the old man sharply. We are not allowed in the secret city. None of us are. No more talk about this, said the old woman. Jack and Annie climbed up from the valley, Topa. They must return home now. Here, she handed Jack and Annie 2 baked potatoes wrapped in leaves. Take these for your journey. Oh, okay, thank you, said Jack. He put the warm potatoes into his bag. Grandmother, can I show them the short way back to the valley? Asked Topa, wiping his eyes. Yes, said the old man, nodding. Show them the path, then come straight home. She looked at Jack and Annie. After Topa points out the way, you must send him straight back to us. Don't worry, said Jack. We will. Follow me, Jack and Annie, said Topa. The small barefoot boy started out of the meadow. Thank you for the potatoes, Jack said to the old couple. Then he and Annie hurried to catch up with Topa. When they were out of sight of his grandparents, Topa grabbed Annie's hand. You're not really going home, are you? He asked. First, you will find Cry in the secret city. Yes, of course. We'll do our best, said Annie. Wait, said Jack. We don't know anything about the secret city. What is it? I do not know, said Topa. It's a secret. Why? Are you afraid? No, I'm not, said Jack. How do we get there? Come, I will take you to the rope bridge, said Topa. Jack and Annie followed the boy between the pine and cedars. Topa led them through high ferns and bushes. They led them under more trees with giant hanging pods. Topa, what do we do after we cross the bridge? Said Annie. Is there a path? Yes, on the other side of the old trail, and said Topa. They took Cry that way, but you shouldn't follow them. They might see you. There is another way to the secret city. What is it? Said Jack. After you cross the bridge, climb through the brush to the high ridge, said Topa. I have heard grandfather say it's faster than the old trail, but watch out for snakes. Snakes, said Jack. Did you say snakes? Topa stopped and looked back at them. Yes, why? Are you afraid? No, I'm good. Keep going, said Jack. Topa led them through the brush to the misty edge of Young Mountain. Jack heard the distant roar of the rushing river. Across the way, he could barely see the peak of Old Mountain. It was partially hidden by clouds. There, that's the rope bridge, said Topa. A sagging footbridge stretched over the gap between the 2 mountains. The bridge swayed in the breeze. It seemed to be made of entirely even its rope. That's the bridge, said Jack. Seriously? Yes, said Topa. Yikes, said Annie. Don't worry. I'll look in the guide, said Jack. There has to be another way to cross it. No, there's not, said Topa. This is the only way from Young Mountain to Old Mountain. But this bridge looks really unsafe, said Jack. The royal guards crossed it, said Topa, and Cry did too. Are you afraid to cross? No, I'm not, said Jack, annoyed. Actually, Jack is afraid, said Annie. But he's Annie. Actually, I'm not afraid, said Jack. Oh, okay, I just started, Annie. Forget it, said Jack. I've got this. Come on, let's cross the bridge. Chapter 4, Mountain Sickness. Thank you, Jack and Annie, said Topa. After you cross, I will lead you through the forest to the secret city. No, Topa, said Annie. I'm sorry, but you can't come with us. We promised your grandparents that we would send you home. But you need me to help find Cry, Topa cried. I'm old enough. I'm not afraid. We know you're very brave, Topa, said Annie, and that's why you have to go back and take care of your grandparents. They need you. Topa started to protest. There were tears in his eyes. If you don't go home, we won't go to the secret city, said Annie. We have to keep our promise. The small boy sighed. All right, you go. We'll see you later, said Annie kindly, and we'll bring Cry back. Be very careful, said Topa. If the guards see you... I know, we've got this, said Jack. Come on, Annie, let's just go. Jack stepped onto the bridge. As soon as they did, it swung from side to side. Whoa, said Jack. Careful, said Annie. I'm okay, said Jack. He gripped the rope railing. They both hand He carefully placed one foot in front of the other. When he looked down, he saw a rushing river far below. Foamy water flowed through a narrow gap between steep mountainsides. Jack stopped. The sight made him dizzy. "Don't look down," Annie called. "I'm right behind you." "Good plan," whispered Jack. He looked up and took a deep breath. Jack inched his hands along the rope railing, carefully walking. Step by step, he started through the mist at Old Mountain. His heart was pounding. "So far, so good," Annie called. "Sort of, pretty much," Jack whispered. The bridge was swaying. He could hear the roar of the river below, but he kept going until he reached the end of the step onto the mountain. Annie reached the mountain and stepped off the bridge a moment later. "We need to make a plan," breathed Jack. We made it," breathed Jack. "Good luck," Topa shouted. The small boy waved from the other side at the end of the bridge. Then he turned and disappeared between the trees. Jack pointed to a stone path that led away from the bridge. "That must be the trail the guards took," he said. "Right," said Annie, "but Topa said we shouldn't go that way. We should go through the forest up to the secret city." "Hold on, I need to check something first," said Jack. He pulled out the Andes Mountain Travel Guide and looked in the index for snakes. He turned to the right page and read aloud. "Peru has 200 species of snakes. There are 3 kinds of found in Andes cloud forests are shown here." Below the photo was the red snake with black and white and yellow bands. The caption said, "Harmless milk snake." Another photo showed a dark snake with a pale belly. The caption said, "Very rare fishing snake." A third showed a black and green snake. The label said, "Highly venomous pit viper." "Whoa," said Jack. "What does venom mean?" asked Annie. "It means if it bites you, you could die," said Jack. He closed the book. "Okay, I have one question." "What?" said Annie. "Why does Morgan want us to work so hard to save the little llama?" said Jack. "It doesn't make sense." Annie thought for a moment. Then she said, "Yes, it does. Sometimes small things are huge things. To Topa, his baby llama is as big as the whole world." "Okay, I get it," said Jack, nodding. "Let's go on, but keep an eye out for snakes, especially the green and black ones." Jack and Annie started up through the jungle-like forest and led to the secret city. As they climbed through the brush and weeds, Jack looked around for snakes, struggling through the tangles and vines, brambles and prickly shrubs. He was still on alert. "Ow!" Annie shrieked. Jack jumped. "What, a snake?" Jack cried. "No, thorns, Annie. I got scratched." "That's all," said Jack. You didn't have to make such a big deal about it." "I didn't," said Annie. "I just said ow." "Whatever," said Jack. "Maybe we should take the old trail. It probably doesn't have thorns or snakes." "Too late now," said Annie. "Just keep going." Jack and Annie kept climbing as they made their way up the mountain. Jack felt less alert. He started feeling faint and short of breath. Annie stopped. "Something's wrong," she said, huffing and puffing. "Yeah," murmured Jack. "Let's take a break. Stop near a pile of rocks." "Good idea," said Annie. Gasping for breath, they both sank to the ground. Jack felt like he might throw up. "Maybe we're getting mountain sickness," he said. "What's that?" said Annie. "I don't know exactly, but I've heard of it," said Jack. He pulled out the travel guide. He looked up mountain sickness. "It's here," said Jack. He read aloud. "Mountain sickness. People breathe oxygen to live. The higher you climb, the less oxygen there is. If you go up the Andes Mountains too quickly, you can feel sick and have trouble catching your breath. Climb slowly and give your body time to get used to the less oxygen. Drink lots of water." "We don't have water," said Annie, panting. But we can go slower." "Right, slower," said Jack. "Ah!" shrieked Annie, leaping up. What?" Jack yelled, leaping with her. "Snakes!" she cried. Chapter 5. Go slow fast. A black and green snake was sliding out from the underbrush. Then Jack saw another. Pit vipers, he yelled, springing up from the ground. Venomous! The two pit vipers slithered away between the rocks. Go, go! Jack shouted to Annie. Go slow! Annie yelled, running after him. Go slow fast! Cried Jack. They scrambled up the mountain slope. Their snake scare gave them a burst of energy. After a while, they grew tired and short of breath again. I need to stop, said Annie, panting. Up ahead. Short way. Jack gasped. A clearing. Keep going. Jack and Annie pushed themselves harder, climbing through brush and tall plants until they came to an open area. Stop. Here. Jack could barely get the words out. Just below the misty mountaintop, the forest had been cleared. A series of low stone walls had been built on the slope. Between the walls were narrow, flat fields. What are these walls? Said Annie, still breathless. I think they're called terraces, said Jack. The walls keep rocks and mud from sliding down the mountains. Looks like a stairway for giants, said Annie. I'll bet it leads up to the secret city. Yeah, said Jack. Let's rest again, figure stuff out. But first, let's check for snakes. They both looked around carefully for snakes. All clear, said Annie. Jack and Annie sank to the ground. They rested their backs against the first stone wall and took deep breaths. Jack felt sleepy and lightheaded. Let's read about Old Mountain, he said. He pulled out the travel guide and looked in the index. Here, he said. In the language of the Incas, Machu Picchu means Old Mountain. What's Machu Picchu? Jack said, suddenly awake. That's where Uncle Josh went, said Annie. I saw his photos. He took a train up the mountain. I know, said Jack. Lots of tourists go to Machu Picchu. It's one of the wonders of the world. Like the Great Wall of China, said Annie. Jack turned the page. A photo showed crumbling stone ruins on a mountain ridge. The roofs on the building were gone. He read, the fortress of Machu Picchu was built almost 600 years ago at the height of the Inca's empire. It was a secret retreat for royal families and their guards and servants. Machu Picchu was active for only about 100 years. After the Inca Empire ended, the city fell into ruin and was forgotten until explorers discovered it in the early 20th century. Whoa, said Jack. Topa and his grandparents are still calling Machu Picchu the secret city, so we've definitely come here hundreds of years ago in the past. I know, said Annie. Come on, we have to keep going. Wait, we should rest longer to get used to the low oxygen, said Jack. He took a deep breath and tried to relax. Finally, Annie stood up. I think I'm ready now, she said. Me too, said Jack. I feel a lot better. Let's give it a try. He put away the travel guide. Then he turned to Annie. She gave him a thumbs up. Then she pointed toward the secret city. I see a path, she said. She led the way to a pebbly path that ran between the terraces up the slope. Not too fast, said Jack. They slowly hiked up the path. Clouds hid the higher trees. Through the haze, they saw people working in the narrow terraces fields. The workers were using wooden shovels to break up the hard ground. Jack was glad the workers wore ponchos and hats like theirs. And he was also glad it was hard to see through the cloud mist. Hopefully no one would notice two kids heading toward the secret city. Keep going, said Jack. Keep breathing. They kept following the path. Near the top of the mountain, they came to the last terrace. A high wall loomed beyond it. Jack was panting and covered with sweat. He and Annie pulled off their wool hats and gasped for air. I'm so thirsty, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. His throat felt dry and rough. Keep going. They climbed onto a large boulder and looked over the wall. Oh man, breathed Jack. All the mist had cleared away from the high mountain ridge. In the dazzling sunlight stood the fortress of Machu Picchu. Chapter 6. The Secret City. Rows and rows of buildings gleamed in the bright sunlight. The buildings were made of carved white stone. They had yellow thatched roofs. In the center of Machu Picchu was a grass-covered plaza. It was built on different levels. People were strolling up and down in colorful tunics and hats. Some wore red ponchos and long dresses. Most wore feathers and gold jewelry. Were the only people from our time to ever visit the living world of Machu Picchu, said Annie. Right, breathed Jack. But don't forget, this place is secret. We're not supposed to be here. I know, said Annie. We have to find the Cry fast. Do you see the baby llama anywhere? No, they're probably not here yet, said Jack. Topa said the way we came through the forest was faster than the old trail. Let's look up a map. He pulled up their travel guide and found the map of Machu Picchu. Here, he said, and he pointed to the places labeled on the map. Real Palace, Temple of the Moon, Temple of the Condor. Condor, said Jack. That's interesting. Right, said Annie. She looked back at the map. Okay, here's the secret plaza, and there's the old trail. That's the way the royal guards came with Cry. Should we try to get to the top of the trail and wait for them? Yeah, no, I don't know, said Jack. First, I seriously need water. Me too, said Annie. Let up water. I doubt it's in here, said Jack. But he turned to the back of the book and scanned the index. Whoa, listen to this. Machu Picchu water systems. He turned the page and read aloud. Machu Picchu's water system was a famous feature of the city. The system collected rainwater which flowed down a canal using the canal and rainwater. And Incas built 13 fountains with clean drinking water available for everyone. Wow, said Annie, 16 water fountains? We just need one. Jack turned back to the book. Look, he said. He pointed to a map. There's one near the end of the plaza. Great, said Annie. Let's sneak over. No, don't sneak. We have to act like we belong here, said Jack. Right. Put on your hat back on, said Annie. They both put their hats back on. I think we will need more than just our hats, said Jack. He looked around and saw 2 wooden shovels propped against the stone wall. Let's borrow those. Jack and Annie picked up a shovel. Whoa, these things weigh a ton, said Annie. No kidding, said Jack. But we have to walk like it doesn't. Act like you carry it to the fields every day. They swung their shovels over their shoulders. Let's go, said Annie. Jack and Annie headed toward the fountain at the edge of the grassy plaza. They passed women in long skirts holding babies. They passed kids throwing a ball the size of a basketball. Be cool, whispered Annie. Yes, said Jack, though he didn't feel like cool at all. His shoulders felt like they were about to crack. His heart was pounding. They passed a forge where workers were busily harming metal. No one seemed to be paying attention to them. When they reached the fountain, Jack was glad to see it was almost surrounded by a low stone wall. He and Annie slipped through the narrow opening. They dropped their shovels and pulled out their hats. Sparkling clean water streamed from the mouth of the fountain. We used it, Annie. She cupped her hands under the stream and drank. Then she stepped aside. Jack took off his glasses and he splashed some cold water over his hot face. He gulped down as much as he could. He felt Annie shaking his shoulder. They're here. They're here, she whispered. Who? What? said Jack. He wiped his face with his poncho. He put his glasses and peered through the narrow opening in the wall. 2 men were walking toward the plaza. They wore helmets and feathers and carried spears. They were followed by a line of white llama roped together. The parade of llamas made no sound except for the tapping of their hooves on the stone pathway and the ringing of a small bell. Hear that? A bell, said Annie. Look. She pointed to the end of the line. The smallest llama had silver fur and wore a collar with a bell. Cry, whispered Annie. Chapter 7, Now or Never. Are you sure that's Cry, said Jack. Yeah, she's the only one silver. She's wearing a bell and she's tiny, said Annie. Right, said Jack. But we can't just charge over and grab her. We need to make a plan. Make it fast, said Annie. She looks tired. She can't keep up with the big llamas. I know, but look, they've stopped, said Jack. Something's going on. The 2 royal guards had stopped on the lowest level of the plaza. Leaving the animals, the guards climbed up to the highest level. They entered a gate that led to the largest building on the plaza. The royal palace, said Jack, remembering their map. A moment later, 2 men returned. 4 others followed. They carried spears and wore helmets with feathers. More guards than me. The men were guarding a tall man who walked behind them. The man wore a cape covered with glittering jewels. Gold earrings hung from his ears. His headdress was made of gold coils with gold feathers that looked like rays of sunlight. All the people on the plaza stopped what they were doing. Everyone stared at the glittering gold man. Who is he? Whispered Jack. Check in the book, whispered Annie. Jack pulled out the guide. He quickly found a painting that showed a man wearing the same clothes and headdress. He and Annie read together. Emperor Pachacuti ruled the Inca Empire from 1438 to 1471. The fierce emperor was called the Earth Shaker because he created the largest empire in South America. He also founded the secret city of Machu Picchu. I get it, whispered Annie. They took the baby llama as a gift for the Earth Shaker. We have to get her back before they give her to him. Hold on, wait, said Jack. We need a plan. No, now's the time, said Annie. He and his guards aren't paying any attention. It's now or never. That's the plan. Before Jack could stop her, Annie stepped out from behind their hiding place. Annie, he whispered. Annie started walking toward the llamas. Jack looked around. No one seemed to notice Annie. All eyes were on Emperor Pachacuti. High on the plaza, the emperor and his men were talking. They seemed too unaware of Annie heading toward the llamas. Annie walked casually to the silver llama at the end of the line. She patted Cry's head and whispered in her ear. Then she tried to untie her, but she seemed to have trouble with the knot. She's taking too long, Jack thought frantically. He had to help her. Jack stepped out from the hiding place and headed toward Annie and Cry. He was terrified, but he tried to walk calmly. Before he even got close, the baby llama broke free from the rope. Then she started sprinting across the plaza. She was heading away from Jack. Get her, Jack, cried Annie. People on the plaza laughed and pointed at Cry. Some of the children started running after her. Jack charged toward the baby llama tube. He reached her first. He grabbed her and wrapped her arms around her fuzzy silver fur. Annie got up to them. She held Cry's little head and looked into her eyes. It's okay, she said breathlessly. It's okay. We're taking you home to Topa. The baby llama nuzzled Annie's head. Before Annie and Jack could whisk her away, a man shouted, "Thieves!" Jack turned and saw to see 2 royal guards hurrying toward them. Their spears were raised. We have to take her home to her true owner, Annie said boldly. She belongs to her friend Topa. The guards reached for the llama. Halt! Someone shouted. The royal guards backed off. Behind them, Emperor Pachacuti strided toward Jack and Annie. Under his gold headdress, he had jet black hair, dark eyes, and a rugged face. Who are you? He said, glaring at them. I'm Annie, and this is my brother Jack, said Annie. And this is baby llama Crya. She belongs to our friend Topa. He is an orphan. He takes care of her like she is a family. Jack glanced at the guards. He didn't want to make them angry. She got lost on Young Mountain, he said. But those 2 nice guards must have found her, said Annie. She smiled at the 2 men who had taken Crya. We're happy to take her off their hands now and return her to Topa. The Emperor stared coldly at the baby llama. Cry stared back at her with bright eyes. The llama's fearless gaze remembered Jack Vanny. I like this small animal. Her color is unusual, said the Emperor. I have none like her. She will stay. Oh no, thought Jack. What now? I'm sorry, said Annie, but I'm afraid she doesn't want to stay here. She thinks it's pretty, and she thinks you're really great, but she wants to go home to the little boy who loves her. That's what she wants. How do you know what the animal wants? Said the Emperor. Oh, well, Jack didn't know what to say. I got this, whispered Annie to him. She looked at the Emperor. It's because I know. She told me. The Emperor looked amused. What? This llama talks to you? Yes, she does, said Annie. Oh, no, this won't work, said Jack. Annie looked at Jack. She talks, right? Under her breath, she repeated a rhyme. Old legends will help you. Suddenly, Jack remembered words from their research guide. Inca legends say that in early times, llamas could talk. Yes, she talks to Annie, said Jack. The royal guards laughed. The onlookers nearby murmured in low, excited voices. Show us, said the Emperor. Show us all how this llama speaks. Chapter 8, The Ancient Magic. Jack held his breath. No problem, Snare. She knelt beside Cry and looked into her eyes. Baby llama fluttered her long eyelashes. What do you want to do, Cry? Annie asked her. Then Annie put her ear close to Cry's mouth. She nodded as if the llama were whispering back to her. Oh no, he'll never fall for that, said Jack, and he looked up at the Emperor. She says she would like to go home. The Emperor scowled. Then he broke into laughter. I see you are playing a children's game, he said. You and your brother must leave now. I will keep the llama. Oh, wait, please, said Annie. I'll tell her to talk louder. Annie, she said. She whispered again in Cry's ear. Then she stared for a long moment into the huge eyes of the llama. Cry stared back at Annie with their alert eyes. Then the baby llama began to speak. Topa, Cry said in a tiny voice. Go back to Topa. Jack couldn't believe it. He laughed out loud. How did Annie do that? How did Cry speak? The Emperor gasped and stared at amazement at the small silver llama. A hush came over the crowd. The guards and the people in the plaza watched in wonder. Topa, Cry said again. Go back to Topa. Hear that, said Annie? Topa is the boy who cares for her. She wants to go back to him. You heard her right. She turned back to Cry. Say it again. Say it louder. Go back to Topa. Now, Cry said clearly and loudly. The Emperor looked stunned. Then his face softened. I understand the boy she loves, he said. Her great feelings for him gave her the power to speak. Right, said Annie, and Topa loves her too. She is his whole world. The Emperor Pachacuti nodded. You must take her back to him, she said. Really, said Jack? Yes, the Emperor looked around at his guards and the people watching on the plaza. The miracle llama has spoken. Her wishes must be honored. Thank you, said Jack and Annie. Come, Cry, let's go home to Topa, said Annie. The baby llama took halting steps. The crowd silently parted and led Jack, Annie, and Cry past. Jack looked straight ahead. He didn't dare glance back. He was afraid the Emperor might change his mind. Can't take her through the forest, said Jack quietly to Annie. Go the way she came up the old trail. It was marked on the map. Got it, whispered Annie. That way, through the arch, said Jack. Walk faster. Jack and Annie walked faster. The silver llama took springing little steps beside them. She seemed to know where she was going. Jack led the way to the stone arch. Guards stood on either side. They stared at an awe at Cry as she pranced through. On the other side of the arch, a rocky path led through the brush. Starting down the trail, Jack breathed more calmly. "How did she do that?" he asked. "How did you make her talk? What happened?" "I remembered a rhyme," said Annie, "in the words in the book about the old legends that said llamas could speak. I believed it so it could be true, and Cry believed it too, and she talked. Simple." "Not so simple," said Jack with a grin. "Impossible." Jack and Annie and Cry moved quickly down the winding trail. When they rounded a corner, Jack gasped and stopped. They could see the long path ahead. The trail ran along the very edge of the mountain. Far below, the river raged between Old Mountain and Young Mountain. "Oh no," said Jack. "The trail looks just as dangerous as the bridge." "It's okay," said Annie. "We got this. Just remember, don't look down." Jack forced himself to look away from the steep drop-off. "Okay," he said. "We have to go single file. Follow me," with Cry between us. "No problem," said Annie. "Don't worry about us. Stay close to the side of the mountain." Jack led the way as they started down the stone path. He could hear the soft clink of Cry's hoofs behind them and the sound of her bell. He forced himself to look straight ahead as he, Annie, and Cry carefully wound their way down the trail, and a soft wind blew against the mountainside. "Look, Jack," said Annie. "I can't. Don't ask me to look at anything," he said. "But it's good news," said Annie. "I see the bridge. It's not far." "Cool," said Jack. The bridge was good news and bad news. How would they cross it with the llama? How did the guard done it? "Oh no, I don't believe it." "Jack, look," said Annie. "I can't." "I said I can't," said Jack. No, not down. Look up," said Annie. "Look up at the sky." Jack looked. "Whoa," he whispered. "Condors." Chapter 9. Shadow of the Condor. "You said condors prey on small animals," said Annie. "Sometimes, maybe. Not always," said Jack. "What about Crya? Are they after Crya?" cried Annie. No, stop walking," said Jack. He, Annie, and Crya came to a halt. Jack and Annie leaned against the mountainside. They looked up at the giant vulture circling overhead. One covered through the air and glided closer to them. "We have to protect Crya," cried Annie. She put her arms around the baby llama. "I'll carry her." "No, you can't. She's too heavy," said Jack. "Then let's do it together," said Annie. "No, the trail's not wide enough," said Jack. "What then?" said Annie. "I'll carry her," said Jack. "I'm bigger than you." Jack put his arms around the baby llama. He slowly and carefully picked her up. He almost fell up. He said, almost falling over. Jack got his balance. He took a deep breath. Then he began moving down the narrow trail with the baby llama in his arms. "Hold her tight," said Annie. "I'm trying," said Jack. The condor flew closer. His wide wings cast a shadow over them. Jack couldn't believe how huge the bird was. "Go away, leave us alone," Annie yelled. "Cry is too heavy. We have to stop again," said Jack. "We need another plan." He lowered the baby llama, and he threw her arms around Cry. Jack said out high-pitched cries. Said Jack, pulling out the travel guide. The baby llama let out high-pitched cries, as if she were terrified. It's okay, Annie said, trying to smooth her. "Hold on, be calm," said Jack. He found the page of the condors. He read the caption under the photo. "The huge condors of the Andes once held a high place of honor. In old legends, they were portrayed as special creatures that carried messages from Earth to the starry heavens." "Oh, okay, I got this," said Jack. He closed the book. He knew what he was going to do. He remembered another thing their dad had said about the llamas. The Incas once believed llamas were protected by a star constellation shaped like a mother and a baby llama. "Hey there," he called to the condor hovering above them. "Here, listen to me. Take a message to the starry heavens. Tell the llama constellations to look down on this baby llama and take care of her." Go now, please. The condor floated for a moment, then it dipped its wings and soared upward. The others followed. The flock of huge birds gracefully glided through the sky and disappeared behind the mountaintop. Jack, good works, cried Annie. How did you do that? I don't know. I did what you did with Cryo for a moment. I believe the Inca's legends could be true, said Jack, and I guess the condors believed that too. Great work, said Annie. To the bridge. Jack, Annie, and Cryo started walking again, single file down the trail. Jack could see the rope bridge. The river far below roared and tumbled between the mountains. Then they reached the bridge. The baby llama tried to turn back. Wait, said Jack, stopping her. He looked in her eyes. Remember you crossed before with the guards and the other llamas? You got this. You do, said Annie to Cryo. Plus, Jack and I are with you. I'll go first, said Jack. He stepped onto the swaying rope bridge. It rocked from side to side every step he took, but he kept walking. Jack heard Cryo's bell ringing behind him. He heard Annie murmuring, Good, you're doing great. Keep going. The sound of Annie's soft words and Cryo's little bell gave Jack courage. Finally, he reached the other side. One by one, they stepped into the solid ground of Young Mountain. Safe, said Annie. So far, so good, said Jack. Cryo's bell jingled as she pranced around them. Take us to Topa, said Annie. Follow me, said the baby llama. And she took off into the forest. Let's go, Annie yelled, running after Cryo. Wait, said Jack, charging after them. Did I hear her say, follow me? You heard her, said Annie. Impossible, said Jack, laughing. Then he followed Cryo and Annie through the ferns and over the roots and rocks until they smelled wood smoke and heard flute music. In the clearing of the forest, Topa and his grandparents were sitting outside the hut. The old man was playing a sad song. He and his wife were trying to get Topa to eat, but the boy waved the food away. The baby llama bleated softly. Topa lifted his head. Cryo, he cried out, and the little silver llama ran to greet him. Chapter 10, The Secret of Brave. Cryo's bell jingled as Topa threw his arms around her. Thank you, Jack and Annie, he said. How were you able to rescue her from the guards? His grandfather asked. We just found her, said Annie, on the mountain. Yes, she must have escaped from the guards, said Jack, and we brought her home to Topa. That is wonderful, said Topa's grandmother. Catch me, cried Topa. The baby llama dashed after him across the grass. As the Topa played with the Cryo in the meadow, his grandparents gave cups of water to Jack and Annie. Would you stay and eat with us? She asked. Oh, I forgot. We still have our potatoes, said Jack. He took them out of his bag and handed one to Annie. Jack and Annie ate their cold baked potatoes. Topa ate a potato too. Then he pulled out some weeds for Cryo. He fed the baby llama hand by hand, and she munched hungrily. When everyone was finished their lunch, they sat still for a moment. Cryo and Topa were resting side by side on the grass. The old man started to play the flute. This soothing music wafted through the air. Jack grew sleepy. Annie nudged him. Time to go home, she said. Oh, brother, Jack stood up. Thank you for helping us, said Topa's grandmother. Goodbye, Jack and Annie. Thank you again, said Topa. Take good care of Cryo, said Jack. And Cryo, you take good care of Topa, said Annie, patting the baby llama's silver fur. The Cryo fluttered her long eyelashes at Annie and Jack. She looked like she was smiling. Jack and Annie waved and headed back into the cloud forest. Where's the treehouse? Jack asked. Follow me, said Annie. I'm pretty sure I know where it is. They pushed through the fern. The sweet music makes me miss home, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. Go back to Mom, said Annie, imitating Cryo's tiny voice. Go back to Dad, said Jack. Annie picked up the Pennsylvania book and found a picture of the Frog Creek woods. I wish we could go there, she said, pointing. The wind started blowing. The treehouse started to spin faster and faster, then everything was still absolutely still. A warm breeze blew into the treehouse. The air smelled of summer leaves and sunshine. Jack and Annie were wearing their shorts, t-shirt, and sneakers again. Jack's woven bag had become a backpack again. Home, said Annie. For the picnic. Jack reached into his backpack and pulled out their travel guide of the Andes Mountains of Peru. He put the book on the floor. He took out Morgan's rhyme and looked at it. Uh-oh, he said. What, said Annie? There's something in the rhyme we didn't do, he said. What, said Annie? When did we find the secret of brave, said Jack. Don't worry, we did that, said Annie. Let's go. She began climbing down the rope ladder. Hold on, said Jack. He placed the rhyme on the floor of the treehouse. Then he pulled on his backpack. He followed Annie down the rope ladder, and they started through the woods again. When did you find the secret of braves? Jack asked again. Well, at first you were afraid to cross the rope, said Annie. No, I wasn't, said Jack. Yes, you were, said Annie, and you were afraid to enter the secret city, and you were afraid to walk down the old trail. Okay, so what's your point? Jack said, slightly hurt. That I'm not brave? I already know that. No, that you are brave, really brave, said Annie. You did those things even though you were afraid. I was afraid too, but to us, saving Krya and bringing her to Topa was more important than our fears. We crossed the bridge, we entered the secret city, and we walked Krya down the mountain. So we were brave after all, said Jack. Yes, people can't be brave unless they're first afraid, said Annie. Being afraid and being brave totally go together. Said Jack. That's the secret of brave, said Annie. Okay, said Jack. He took a deep breath. Hey, we'd better run. We're going on a picnic, said Annie. Ready? Ready for anything, said Jack. Then he and Annie took off, running through the Frog Creek woods, heading for home. Bye. Hope you enjoyed this book. Come back for another Magic Trail series. Bye.